Hey all, and welcome in to the newest Game Dev Diary for June of 2025. Let's get right into it. So as a reminder, this is for the new project that I started not last month, the month before. Um, and it's a time loop game where you have to solve a mystery um, by talking to people, solving quests for them, and having different outcomes happen on each time loop, so you can get different pieces of information and different items and whatnot. Cross-reference information. The main currency of the game is information, because theoretically you could beat the game on your first loop if you only knew what to do. The main progress points here are it's a lot of writing, a lot of ironing out the structure of what the game is going to be like, play like. And I have a friend joining me on the journey now, and he has started work on the coding, which is amazing. Again, our inspiration is the time loop games. One new game that we're adding in is The Forgotten City, which is a game that I bought and played like on the very tail end of June. You can see I bought it on June 28th and I played through it just a few days ago. It's a very interesting game, one which incidentally has a lot of similar themes to what I'm trying to do here with this game. And I'll sort of go through what I learned from that. But the game is basically you're in a city with a bunch of like Romans and Greeks, ancient Romans and Greeks, and whenever somebody commits a crime, all of the golden statues come to life and kill everybody, and you have to loop it over again after that. So it's about gods and morality and like the enforcement of rules, and it's that's very similar to some of the themes that I'm going for, especially with morality. It's the main theme that I was doing a lot of research. I was researching into meta ethics, which we'll get into in a bit. The main learning I got from this is, well, let's just go through it. So the different types of actions that you can take in a day, these all do like different things for you. Like these recurring actions that, whenever you start a loop, you're just going to go through the motions. I'll do this, this, and this. Then we can start thinking about what we can do new. These are really good for, I wouldn't say like padding out time, but it gives the player time to digest what's happened in the loop previously. So they can just do some menial tasks and gain some muscle memory and, be more familiar with the map as they're going. Shortcut actions are the opposite. Say that you have a long task which is necessary to do to get an important item. This action would circumvent the need to do that long, winding quest. That would save time and the headache of having to do a complex set of actions every single time, if you get what I mean. And then there's the per loop actions, which are which encourage experimentation. Say you have a person who you're trying to convince of something, and if you convince them poorly, they won't talk to you for the rest of the loop. So you only have one try per loop to convince them of this thing, and you have a bunch of different options and you're not quite sure what they'll respond to. So every single loop, you'll talk to them once and probably you won't get the result that you want, so you'll come back later. This is to give the player something simple that they can remember that they need to do next time, instead of like a complex lead that they have to follow. that can help them, uh, feel like, oh, it's like a slow accumulation action, a recurring action, but there's, instead of you gaining something new each time you do it, you gain new information. The recurring actions are like, hey, I'm going to pick up 5 coins from this location and I'm going to save them somewhere else. And by the fifth loop, you have 25 coins and you can do more with that than you could otherwise. But that being said, in Lost City, the whole idea of your inventory is saved between loops is a bit tough to reconcile. I already had thought of a mechanic of like the time capsule. It's like a small room where you can like save some of your items, but like importantly, it's only some of your items, and you have to actually physically put them in the room before the loop ends. And in that regard, it's a bit more restricted than just you can save anything. So if you kill someone and take their gold, you can have a whole lot of it for next loop, and it sort of dulls the mechanic, in my opinion. Not again in the Lost City, it really works well. Everything like coheres very well together. These are very small contrivances, which I'm trying to break down the affordances of each decision, so I can reach the best decision for my game. So it's like I'm iterating upon the system with things that I've noticed. So when I say something is bad or can be improved, it's usually not like, oh, this is a game-breaking problem. Just to make sure that we understand that. It's important to have a mixture of small mysteries and big mysteries, and that the small mysteries lead into the big ones, and the big ones they might lead into a few smaller mysteries that you need to hold on to. It's no use having all of the big questions already there, and then your player just feels overwhelmed, feeling like they don't know what to do. I feel like the one of the main things about Forgotten City is that I didn't quite connect with is the underutilization of the actual time mechanic. Sure, you get some knowledge from your previous loops, but I feel like they could have used it in more unique ways, and we'll sort of see how I'm trying to do that later on when I talk about the quests that I'm thinking of. And in terms of the meta ethics and the theming of my game, the Hermit Philosopher was a very interesting NPC, because he pretty much breaks down, like he has a chat with you where he asks you about what your moral framework is in a bit of a roundabout way, but like if I hadn't done my own meta ethical research before talking to him, I don't think I would have picked up on this. I mean, it's not subtle. I won't say it's subtle. They are pretty much asking you, is this moral? Would you say that this is moral? And they go from there. But I felt more informed about my own decisions that I was giving him when we were discussing it. However, this dialogue doesn't do anything for the game. You talk to him because he just feels like having a philosophical debate with someone, and it doesn't really affect how the game plays or anything later on, which in my game I'd sort of want you to recognize that within the characters that I'm writing, and perhaps your own decisions in the game change how your ending will be. Say if you go for a standpoint that aligns with one faction, then you'll sort of adopt their practices and come to the same conclusions that they arrive to, and then not by saying, oh, you're siding with this faction, you're going to help them. Instead of saying that, you're saying, oh, I'm thinking like they would think, and the way they would think would make them arrive at this conclusion, which is the conclusion that I've arrived at, sort of thing. Which leads us into the meta-ethical research that I was talking about. It's a very interesting school of thinking. Instead of meta-ethics is basically saying instead of debating what is moral, we're debating how can you say anything is moral in a way. So the three factions that we'll be talking about in a bit, the Intuitors, the Illuminators, and the Inquisitors, they all subscribe to very different meta-ethical positions, and not all of those positions are held by every member or not held completely consistently. This diagram on the right is something I found on Google, which I thought explained sort of meta ethics on its own pretty well, except there were a few things that I had a gripe with. There was no intuitionism and divine command theory, which was placed in moral non-realism. I don't think it should be there. It should be in moral realism, and I've moved things around slightly to facilitate that. I might be wrong. I could always be wrong, but that's sort of how I understood it. I was like, why is that there? And then I sort of tried to Google it, and I think divine command theory is moral realism. Anyway, the Intuitors, they are scholars, they're scientists, but they play hard and fast with the rules a bit. They trust in themselves as they believe they're enlightened, that they have gone through the scientific method to arrive at the correct conclusions themselves. So they're intuitionists. They believe in their own intuition. They believe in subjectivism as their like individual claims are correct, and emotivism, more of a I wouldn't say cynical view that emotions are what guide moral judgments or moral statements. The Illuminators are a religious order, so they are very zealous, very devout, hence the divine command theory. But in a world where gods are demonstrably, empirically, demonstrably true that they exist, I don't know, it's just hard to word that without without making people angry. They would also prescribe to naturalism, the idea that that morality is a product of our natural world, and objectivism, meaning basically there is an objective set of moral rules that everybody should be behaving by, and their sort of debates and their problems and issues would span from people that have differing agreements about what is true and what to believe in. And as you'll see further, the Illuminators are not very kind to those who don't believe in what they believe. The Inquisitors are if you're ever familiar with Warhammer 40k, they are the secret police. They are the detectives. It is their job to uncover the coups and the plots, and they will do whatever they need to get to that, get to their conclusions and get to the correct results. They do not believe that morality is a thing that exists. It's a human construct. The moral error theory. You cannot say that moral claims can be true, factually true, and morality and ethical moral statements are more a way of controlling people. That is also sort of an idea of prescriptivism, that moral statements are just commands to do things, really. As well as sort of this idea of relativism, which is sort of different, but they sort of overlap. Where in moral error theory, some people that believe that while moral claims can't be true, they're a useful tool for controlling people. Like a law, murder is illegal. That is a way of protecting people using morals as a framework for law, even though that morality doesn't quite mean anything in the grand scheme of things. So, in the relativist point of view, the society is what deems if something is moral or not. So that's how I'm thinking some of these ideas, which are a bit scattered around this meta-ethical flowchart, I guess, can be married together and make sort of interesting dynamics between characters. So we go to the factions overview. We've gone over this a bit, but the intuitors are the scholars and the mages. The illuminators are the religious authority, and the inquisitors are the investigators. The most important thing about this is the worship section, because these people are very religious, all of them. But recently, the worship of the red moon has been made illegal, and the illuminators are very much trying to stamp out any kind of worship of the red moon over the blue moon. And the intuitors are not happy about that. So that is fueling some sort of conflict between them. All of these factions are in conflict with each other. As a investigative branch, the inquisitors have, on more than one occasion, been forced to investigate intuitors that they believe worship the red moon, and the intuitors don't like that. The illuminators don't quite trust the inquisitors because they don't fully believe in the moral, divine command theory, the teachings of the blue moon. Who else? There are all of the combinations, but the intuitors and the illuminators obviously don't like each other because of the aforementioned red and blue moons. So they're all opposed, but they all have to work together to get the country, the nation, the people moving in the correct way after a catastrophic historical event. They need to put their differences aside, and it's your prerogative, it's your job as the neutral party to get them working together, or at least get information from all of them equally. We have the roster of NPCs, everybody that is going to be trapped in the cathedral, or I'm thinking of changing it to the basilica at this point. I'm thinking of having approximately 32 characters, with you being the bottom right, the 8th member of Basilica staff, the receptionist. So it's going to be your job in the prologue to check all of these people in, and then you can use that roster to identify the people here. As for naming conventions, the native people of this nation, they all have similar sounding or similar phonetically sounding names. So they have a lot of E's, I's, J's, Y's, and their second names are all joining together two words: Sunderkin, All Fort, Skyview, and whoever doesn't conform to that naming convention, they're people that might be a different race, different nation, sort of thing. And then that will give you a bit of perspective into the entirety of the fantasy world that I'm creating, because this is just a small snapshot of it. So this was my first few quests that I was brainstorming. First one is just a straight dialogue check. You have to talk to the gatekeeper and basically just hold a human conversation with her. Don't creep her out. Leave a positive impression, and she'll let you into the camp. That's pretty much it. A development of this is the second quest, where you talk to the eminent intuitor, the lead intuitor, and she needs a guarantee that you are worth her time. She is very curious and will give you a chance to prove yourself, but you have to impress her, and that will be a knowledge check of some kind. You might have a selection of words or phrases that you can stitch together to form a sentence. If you ever played Return of the Obra Dinn, the way you stitch together, oh, he was spiked by a monster, or he was killed by this person over here, sort of thing. And once you get a match, a correct statement, you have to sort of defend it slightly just to show that you've understood it. Either that, or you must showcase your ability to get things done, get results. That might be by showing her an item that you can only get from somebody important, or, you know, somewhere hidden. You've got something important, right? So that way, you have to do something of note before you can get her to give you her support. The knowledge you'll gain from books around the world, and it will also get you acquainted with the magic system in the world, which I've spent a fair amount of time developing. It's not quite where I want it yet, but it's at the stage where I can share it. And of course, perfect is the enemy of done. So at some point, I'm going to have to just push it forward and say it's at a stage where I like it. The first Inquisitor quest, which is probably not going to be the first one, because this is sort of like the final boss of Inquisitor quests. But it's the first one I designed, so we're going with number one. This will be your first meeting with the Eminent Inquisitor, and he is a nasty man. He doesn't like interacting with people who aren't worth his time, similar to Eleanor, but Eleanor is a lot more positive and I don't know how sycophantic, maybe. If she can get something from somebody and she'll, you know, talk up to them, chat them up, it's she's very pompous. Yaital is very hard on his luck, very serious, but he's very sly. He'll challenge you to a card game, and I've sort of designed the rules. It's a bluffing game. You have to go back and forth, sort of making bets, and you have to accept the other player's bet before the hand resolves, and whoever wins that exchange gets points, and whoever has the most points by the end of the game wins. But the more you play with him, the more you're suspicious of his honesty, his, I forget the word. What's the word? It will come to me. Whatever. I will come to me. He's doing something you can't quite tell. And this is where what I was talking with the Forgotten City sort of comes around about time looping. He will ask you when you're playing this card game to shuffle the deck. And that will give you, because you're in a time loop, you'll do it slightly differently every single time. Because maybe you're more tired or you're in a slightly different state of mind. So every time you shuffle the deck, it's going to be different. If you ask him to shuffle the deck, then he will do it exactly the same way every single time. So by the end of, the shuffle, you will have a determined set deck of cards that you can, even if you wanted to, write down every single card that will come out, every single hand. And you will, if you want to, win that way. There are other ways to sort of cheat the game, if you even want to cheat the game, if you just want to play him authentically. You can do that, although it's not really advised. But using the time loop, you can sort of game the system and gain information about how the game will go if you ask him to shuffle the deck, because he'll be doing it in the same way every single time. We got a few of our gadgets. These are going to be the main, like, ultra, I wouldn't say ultra rare, but these are like the three main tools that you're going to be having, and they're each in possession of one of the guild, or not guild, but faction leaders, and they all do something slightly different that will help you along. The Indeterminate is a truth detection sort of gem. It'll tell you how much the person you're talking to likes you. It will warn you when they say something that's a lie. And if you're near something that you're looking for or a secret, it will start to shine as well. And this, as an item, it can be used to, influence people. If somebody knows what this artifact does and you start dangling it around them when you're talking to them, they'll get angry at you because, hey, what do you think you're doing? Is this an interrogation, or why are you holding that? Sort of thing. So that could increase the stakes of a situation. It's like, hey, maybe be careful where you use this. The sixth lens is sight in German. It's not too subtle, but hey ho. It sort of gives you a window into like the ethereal, like the magic in this world goes through channels that are not visible to the naked eye. So to look through this lens will give you the ability to see what is immaterial. It's a monocle, but a very weirdly shaped monocle. And it has a little receptacle for a gem to blast like hidden walls with like a magic shockwave. The Ward of Kasali is basically the keys to the Basilica, and a protective ward. So the three gems, blue, red, and gold, will correspond to blue, red, and gold doors. And you have to actively, find ways to activate these pearls, and they will open some of the doors around the basilica for you. And each pearl that you unlock will give you like a physical bonus as well, like move speed, jump boost, and it will activate like a protective magic ward. In terms of 3D modeling, this is where we are at now. It's similar to what we were at before, but I'll just bring up my pencil to showcase some of the changes. So we've copied this section across here. We've added like a small section here at the base, this bit, just to make things flow a bit better. We've changed this A-frame section and added an ornament at the top and copied that over here as well. I'm not sure if this was done last time. I think it was, but we've got a nice section of the A-frame here completely done. And I think that's just about what we've done. It's not been a focus of my progress, so I'm happy just saying I've done a lot of writing this month, with some marginal progress for the model. It's not. How do I get off? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we've got some initial footage of the white box where we're just, very early, just starting off pretty much. So we've got a white box, simple platforming, and this is going to be for the sixth lens. You sort of transition between material and immaterial. Things that are invisible turn visible. Things that shouldn't be visible turn invisible. So it goes both ways, sort of thing. So you could walk through that wall, regardless of if you can see that it's not tangible or not, is the idea. And you can't walk through the wall that isn't there, regardless of if you can see it, sort of thing. Here is another one where we're just sort of going through like disposition and
hello there.
And we have a nice a Star Wars reference, General Kenobi, and we're starting off with a dialogue system. So that has been the progress update for June of 2025. I'm very happy with what I've done. And I'm very happy that I've got a friend to share the project with who's doing great work as well. So yeah, let me know if there's anything you wanted to chat about or discuss in the comments. I'm more than happy to talk about my work. And this one did go along a bit longer than usual. Mainly all of the talk about Forgotten City and the meta ethics. But it's so interesting I couldn't help myself. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next month. Goodbye.